2024 postseason is finally here. And with that, we get to start with the play-in tournament, where I'll be making my predictions today, starting with the Eastern Conference and what is sure to be a interesting matchup with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. Both teams that in an ideal world would not have bet on being here at the start of the season, but nonetheless will be fighting for the rest of their 2024 NBA lives in this play-in tournament. Now for Philly, of course, they'll have home court, but questions remain around Joel Embiid. Of course, he's now back from his serious injury that took him out of the MVP race, but he just now tumbled and took up that potential knock a few days ago. And it's a little bit uncertain where his health lies going into this play-in tournament. How available will he be? How productive will he be? Same old typical questions for Philly that we see every postseason. For Miami, it's typical. They've not been amazing in the regular season. They've had ups and downs, but it's Miami, and it's Jimmy Butler, and it's the postseason. However, this team only shows up when their back's against the wall. I don't think their back is up against the wall enough quite yet. This Philly team, even with a potentially hampered Joel Embiid, still has a lot of talent and has a coach in Nick Nurse that can actually match the brilliance of Spo for the Heat. Buddy Hield is starting to look much more comfortable for Philly over the last few weeks as they hit a bit of a stride going into the postseason. Tyrese Maxey has continued to look like a potential All-NBA candidate guard. And the fact that Kelly Oubre is starting to hit more of his shots going into the postseason definitely doesn't hurt. And I think will earn them the right of the 7 seed facing off against the Knicks. Moving to the 9-10 matchup in the East with the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. Typically, I would say Trae Young's going to get you a game, because that seems to be what Trae Young does in the postseason. But this is the Trae Young that's only played 3 games after coming back from his hand injury, and there's some question marks around how productive he'll be because of that. Now, DeJounte Murray has been quite good in his absence, and Bogdan Bogdanovic has been playing like one of the best sixth-man candidates who's now been inserted into the starting lineup due to Trae Young's absence alongside Sadiq Bey, Jalen Johnson, and Onyeka Okongwu. And those injuries are going to impact their potential success. However, the fact that they have Trae, the fact that they have DeJounte and Bogdan Bogdanovic might be enough. They're going to have to drop probably about 80 points between the 3 of them to do it, but I think they will. I think they'll overcome the more youthful Chicago Bulls when you think of Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, and DeMar's past continuous postseason struggles. Might be the clutch player of the year this year, but he ain't clutch in the playoffs. Give me the Atlanta Hawks facing off against the Miami Heat in that Eastern Conference for the 8th seed. Now I think this gets ugly, because Miami's back are now against the wall. Now they show up. Now Spo starts cooking. Now Bam starts cooking. Now Jimmy activates playoff Butler. I think this is the comfortable Miami win in Miami. Give me it, Miami, facing off once again against the Boston Celtics in a very great matchup. But that brings us out west to a 7-8 matchup that includes a team that, if they had won on the final day of the season, would have had no time in the play-in whatsoever, would have got to avoid this nonsense. But instead, the Pelicans have to play against LeBron and AD and the Lakers, which is no small task. Now, AD is going to go into this game with some potential lingering back spasms from their last game on Sunday. He said he's going to play, but how healthy will he be? How available will he be? Is there a minutes restriction? Those are all questions we're going to have to contend with. However, this is a Lakers team that is going to cause problems for the Pelicans. AD's presence on the interior, their rim protection, is tough for a team that is going to probably play JV out of the game, because AD is simply too mobile. It's going to make JV struggle defensively, and AD's presence is going to make it very difficult for Zion to get his game going. They've very much frustrated the Pelicans so far this year. They frustrated the Pelicans on the last day of the season, and I think they're going to frustrate the Pelicans again and book themselves 7 seed and get a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals in Denver, just like Miami will get their rematch against Celtics. As far as the 9 versus 10 seed goes, this is a battle of NorCal and the Kings and the Warriors. And frankly, the Kings are in a tough spot. They're missing their spark and Malik Monk off the bench, and he's been crucial for them last year and this year. Some nights he's their spark off the bench. Other nights he's their most valuable offensive piece, even more so than De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis. This also doesn't include the fact that we know how poor Sabonis was in the postseason last year against the Warriors. They had his number given, with Kevon Looney playing much of those minutes against him, and now Looney not being a significant part of the rotation this year so far in Golden State. But nonetheless, with Draymond, with Trayce Jackson-Davis, I think the Warriors are going to give them some grief. I think the Warriors are going to have Steph cooking because, let's face it, the Kings don't have elite perimeter defense. I think this is a Golden State win, and they will face the Pelicans in the game for the 8th seed. Now, this game will be in New Orleans. However, still Curry we're talking about. Problem is, Curry is going to have to deal with Herb Jones, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, absolutely hunting him down the entire game. Not to mention the fact the Pelicans are going to get to play a bit more of their natural game in this one, with the Warriors not having an elite interior defensive presence. Zion should be getting home a lot more, and if they want to risk him being poor defensively, they could really feed JV in the paint and get him a lot of easy buckets under the undersized and undermanned interior defense of the Warriors. Steph and the boys, they might be going home packing early this year and missing the postseason because I think the Pelicans will be facing off against the 1 seed OKC Thunder as they try to get back against them for ousting them out of the play-in only a year ago.